Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Wednesday. Today is November 6th. Wow. So we have a new president, or we will soon have a new president. I know that half of you watching this are absolutely thrilled. And I know the other half of you watching this are absolutely crushed. But you know what? Remember something. I try to keep in mind, thankfully, there are no monarchs here. We elect people and then we get to re-elect them in 4 years or not. And on it goes. But what occurred to me in the past week was that it didn't even matter. At the end of the day, the president on January 20th is going to face the same major fundamental challenges the current president faces. We think about the debt that is just way crazy. We think about the threat that China poses. We think about Russia, Ukraine, Israel in the Middle East, Iran. China's focus with Russia on destroying the dollar as the world's reserve currency. We face all the same geopolitical challenges that we did yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. And I'll tell you, not one president is gonna change that. They can certainly have an impact, obviously, but it's gonna take more than that. It's gonna take sustained work. But the thing that I've been thinking about is, as investors, the biggest challenge that we face is that we still find ourselves in a market that is historically, by any measure of value you want to use, overvalued. It came out this weekend that Buffett basically is now sitting on a $300 billion cash pile, which is crazy. He froze buybacks for the first time in 6 years. Okay, he's been buying back billions of dollars of stock every quarter, but last quarter it went down to 300 million, and then he froze all buybacks for his stock, and he's been selling stocks like it's going out of style. When the Oracle of Omaha sells stocks like this, it's funny. Ever since I moved to Florida and I've become familiar with hurricane season, I always view it like people who are just putting up their shutters, preparing for a hurricane. And that's how we see it too. You can't say that on January 13th at 3 p.m., the bear market's going to start. It's just not really the way it works. But what you can say is that if the market's fair value is here, cheap is here, we are in a market that is really highly valued, that is overvalued, frankly, by any measure of value we want to use. It is overvalued. And contrast that with the fact that yields, the Federal Reserve has been lowering interest rates. And since the Fed lowered interest rates, the 10-year yield has gone up 80 basis points. So the markets are telling us that there is inflation coming. The markets are telling us, the bond market specifically is telling us that this deficit is out of control. If you don't get this deficit under control, if you don't get spending under control, the bond market is going to force interest rates higher, much, much higher. The bond vigilantes from the 1990s are back. There's no doubt about it. In my view, there's no doubt about it. They're coming back. Now, the good thing about the bond vigilantes is, y'all remember from the 90s, you guys are old enough to remember, certainly. I've been talking to a lot of young people lately, so I don't know if they're old enough to remember, but I know you and I are old enough to remember. The bond vigilantes had a very big hand in forcing Clinton to negotiate with Newt Gingrich and really get our fiscal house in order. Because the bond vigilantes said, look, you can keep spending all you want. You can keep doing this, but just know you're going to face interest rates of 10, 12%. So if you don't get your fiscal house in order, just understand the penalty of that. You will have interest rates of 10, 12%. And I suspect that our bond vigilantes circa 2024, 2025 are going to end up saying the same things to Washington, D.C. Look, you guys can do whatever you want. You can spend whatever you want. You can have a tax rate, whatever you want it. No problem whatsoever. But just know you're going to see 10-year bonded, 8, 9, 10% interest. The people that are in government realize that it'll be a heck of a lot less painful to actually tighten in our spending and get our tax regime and spending regime more aligned with the reality that we face than to watch interest rates spike to 10%, which is really what we face. So we are entering a new era. As always, through presidents, thick and thin, many administrations, I will be here with you to help sort this out as we go forward, one day at a time, one step at a time. And I am humbled and grateful to be able to do this for you. Have a wonderful day.